Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are back once again with an exclusive interview for Tru Heels BTR, Between the Ropes. This time, we are speaking to a younger independent wrestler, international traveler. She is the Russian Dynamite, and she's going to be featured on Mission Pro Wrestling, which is granted on Saturday, February 6th. The one, the only, Masha Slamovich. What's going on?
It's going good. I'm out here enjoying Texas, you know, having a great time before the Mission Pro Wrestling show, preparing.
So I will say when I heard your name, I literally said it's the greatest pro wrestling name I've ever heard in my life.
Thank you. I do think it rolls off the tongue quite well, if I may say so myself.
I would have to agree. To everyone watching on YouTube, give this video a thumbs up. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family. Of course, there is the subscribe button and the iCard if you want to push on that. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And of course, push the bell to press all for all notifications for all the great content right here on True Hill Heat. So, Masha, you got a big matchup coming up from Mission Pro Wrestling, which is granted in Voodoo, Texas. You're going to be in a three-way matchup against Promise Braxton and Black Widow. That is two diverse, versatile, different performers for you to be in the ring with. So, how are you preparing for this triple threat?
I'm preparing the same way I always prepare, working out, eating correctly, getting some ring time in. I'm really looking forward to this match also because it's going to be the first triple threat in Mission Pro Wrestling history. We should also make note of that. It's going to be a very interesting one. There is me coming with the Joshi Pro Wrestling style. There's Black Widow coming with the Lucha Libre style, and then there's Promise Braxton, I'm sure, coming with some more of the American style. I haven't heard much from Black Widow. I don't know why she's not talking, but that's fine. We don't need talk, we need action. And I'm definitely looking forward to fighting Promise Braxton as well because I've heard her talk and I hope she can back it up and walk the walk.
One would hope, because I know you got a lot of diversity coming from yourself that's gonna take them down in this matchup. But Black Widow, it's like you said, familiar with the Lucha Libre style. She actually just had a dog collar match which she won. So is that kind of brutality that she was in that last match? Do you think that it's gonna spill over into this matchup with the three-way rules in it?
I certainly hope so. I love some brutality. I've been wanting to do a dog collar match for a while now, so you know what? I'm glad to hear that. This all makes me very happy. The more aggression, the better. If somebody bleeds, even better.
Awesome. So you said you just took some time over in Japan for Joshi Pro. How was that experience and how different was it from, learning, training, wrestling, all over the world, here in America and then in Japan? How's the difference there?
Thankfully to my original trainer, Johnny Rods, he made sure to prepare me back in the day when I was still training there. Our curriculum was very Japanese based at the time that I was there. So I think I was well prepared and, pretty much brought up to wrestle in that style. It was a very good opportunity and a great time for me to be able to stay with Marvelous Pro Wrestling for an entire year and to be able to hone that craft and build on the basis that I already had and learn new things, get more comfortable with the style. It was probably the best opportunity I've ever had in my life, and I really look forward to going back over there when I'm able to do so.
Who was the performer or wrestler that you saw out there that you kind of said to yourself, like, you kind of want to get something from them, whether it be like a particular way they did their footwork in the ring or their passion that they bring every time they step inside the ring? Is there anybody that stood out the most to you during your time over there?
You know, of course, there were people there who I'd wrestled with, who I was very impressed by, and I learned from them, and our styles meshed very well together. I gotta say though, the top two people that I was looking forward to working with, learning from, etc., was, of course, my boss, Chigusa Nagayo, who is a legend in Japan, and her style is absolutely incredible. And of course, I'm wearing her promotion sweater right now, Assemble Pro Wrestling, which is run by Akira Hokuto. And I am very much a fan of her style and her attitude and just everything about her work, really.
That's awesome, bringing it all together. But you said you did training with Johnny Rod, so you're over here in the New York City area?
Yes, I started out in the New York City area training in Brooklyn, New York at his school, The World of Unpredictable Wrestling.
That's really really awesome. I'm actually from the New York City area, and one of our producers, he actually trained with Johnny Rods, and the last interview I did was with Tommy Dreamer. So I actually know and talk to two of Johnny Rods, and now a third Johnny Rods trainee. So how was that experience learning from someone who has such a rich history with training some of the greats in the business?
Learning, from Johnny Rods and training at WW, it was the best possible start that I could have had to my career. They made sure that I had my basics, my footwork, everything that I needed to know absolutely down packed. I remember like a Saturday morning at like 10 a.m., I would just roll, bump, roll, bump, roll, bump for like an hour straight until I got it right, until I could wake up in the middle of the night and roll out of my bed and do it right without any mistakes. And I promise you that stuck to me to this day. Repetition and, learning groundwork, especially. There's so many wrestlers that I meet that don't have as much skill or ability to go down to the ground and truly wrestle and work, which is something that Johnny Rods and the coaches he had there made sure that I had. So I think they prepared me to work everywhere around the world of every different style. And I'm absolutely thankful for that. And I always will be.
And I'm sure you're going to be one of those names that they brag about training in the future for sure. And you're relatively new to the wrestling business, but like I said, I live in New York City. How did living in New York City kind of prepare you for the wrestling lifestyle of traveling all over the world and putting your body through that type of like punishment?
I'm glad you asked that because living in New York City prepared me pretty much for everything because, the city's insane. The people are insane. And, you just leave your house and you just got to navigate. Like half the time, you don't know where you're going. The train gets screwed up and you just got to figure it out. You have to go outside and use your senses and figure it out. And that has come in handy for me around the world, especially when I go out in Tokyo, not really knowing how to read the signs, but I'll figure it out. It's, I get lost a couple of times, but it's like New York. I'm like, you know what? I'll sort it out as we go. There's no need to worry. And that's kind of the way I approach everything in life is, hey, I'll figure it out. And I definitely got that from living in New York. As it goes for putting my body through wrestling, when I was in school in New York, I partook in sports, weightlifting, swimming, CrossFit. So I pretty much destroyed myself before I even got to wrestling. So it's nothing new to me at this point.
She's like, I prepped my body pretty well for this.
Like my body's dead. I'm dead inside. It's a great time to be a wrestler. It's perfect.
Excellent timing. So you're making your transition, and you're like growing in the wrestling business, but we're in a new year, 2021. What are your goals for the future for this next 12 months, and then going into the rest of your career?
I'll be honest with you. Even aside from this like pandemic and all the insanity that's going on in the world, it's a little difficult to have goals in wrestling. It's good to have long-term goals, but you honestly never know what's going to happen tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. If you would have told me at the end of 2019 that I would be living in Japan for a year, I'd have told you you're crazy. I'm like, how? And then here we are. And if you would have told me, you would have told me in November that I would be sitting in Texas right now, I would have told you you're crazy. But here I am, and I just go with the flow. I constantly train. I constantly work on my online presence. I constantly work on getting more bookings, getting more shows, and everything kind of just comes as you go. The more you work, the more results you see. My only goal right now is to get back to Japan and hopefully appear on AEW Dark at some point in the future.
I want to see it. I'm going to be rooting for you for sure. I want to see you on AEW Dark on a Tuesday night. But to bring it back to the beginning of everything with you and wrestling, how did you like kind of discover this crazy, crazy world of professional wrestling? And what kind of led to you beginning your training?
So I discovered wrestling pretty early in life. I'm talking like 3 or 4 years old, like really early. And, I just saw it on TV, I guess, like most everyone else does.
Yeah.
And I just remember like that was it for me. Like I saw it for like 5 minutes and I just knew like this is my thing. Like I'm meant to do this. I want to do this. That's it. Like, other people have goals like be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. And like kids are like, do you want to, be a firefighter? And like, I just couldn't relate to any of that. I'm like, where did you get this idea from? It just doesn't seem appealing to me whatsoever. And I don't know, wrestling just enamored me from the moment I saw it. And I never let go of that. The second I could, when I was a kid, I started doing sports. I was swimming since 2, I was running since like 5, all kinds of sports, gymnastics, dance, this, the next. Always everything was done with the idea of, hey, this is somehow going to prepare me to be a wrestler. Started weightlifting at 12, started doing CrossFit by like 14, track and field. I'm like, okay, this is all going to up my cardio, up my strength to wrestle. And then when I was 16, I went to Johnny Rod's and started, and there we go from there.
I love it. I love it. You never let go of that dream and you just kept pushing towards it and working towards it. That's like, very inspirational for sure. So leading into that and where you're at this point in your career and working with Mission Pro Wrestling for wishes granted and what Thunder Rosa has created for like the future of independent wrestling and women's wrestling, what does Mission Pro Wrestling mean to you and working with them?
Mission Pro Wrestling, I think, is a fantastic promotion. Why? Because they're bringing in a mix of seasoned veterans and absolutely brand new people. So it's a learning experience for everybody because, everybody can learn something from everyone, different styles. For those that are newer to the business, they get to mingle with veterans in the locker room and learn, not even just from being in the ring, but just from conversing and listening. Because really, that's all it is in wrestling. You just shut your mouth, open your eyes, open your ears, and listen. And it's a wonderful opportunity for people to get to work together and learn together and enhance their craft together, especially having so many sponsors and having eyes from AEW watching the promotion is, one of the best opportunities provided there.
And is there anyone in particular working with Mission Pro Wrestling, either for which is granted or in the past, that you want to step into the ring with?
Man, I would really love a chance to work with Allison Kay. I think that would be a wonderful mix of violence that the world has been deprived of.
I like that. That's actually what I would have said as well, because you guys have very similar styles, and I think that it would just be a hard hitting, slug it out type of matchup. It would be really good.
Absolutely.
So finally, this is True Heel Heat, Masha. So we like to talk about the heels of the business. That's why I kind of have to ask you where your love for professional wrestling started. So you say that it started when you were young, so you have a lot of history, watching the business. You've been in the business. You've been able to see it firsthand as a professional wrestler. So I need you to think in your memories museum and let us know who you think is the truest heel you've ever seen in the wrestling business.
First of all, my memories are lacking because I'm a wrestler and you should know this. Immediately comes to my mind one of my favorites, Dynamite Kid. I mean, a real asshole, and I say that in a good way because if you're a heel, you gotta be.
Yeah.
Think of somebody who's more of an absolute prick than Dynamite Kid, and you come tell me.
And I always say, if someone has trouble like thinking of it off the bat, I always say, in real life or in wrestling. And Dynamite Kid is one that kind of had that shades of gray in between from some of the stories that you hear about him. So I like
I
that
mean,
answer.
you got to live the gimmick to an extent, you know? So you do with that information what you will.
So, what is the moment in wrestling that you remember the most when you think of true heel heat that drew that animosity, that hatred from the crowd? What one moment? It could be from Dynamite Kid. It could be from somebody else in the history that you've watched professional wrestling even before you were born or during your time as a professional wrestler.
um, they definitely, okay, so like the best heel moments, 10 out of 10 are the ones where like the crowd really gets riled up and like the police get called in, you know? So we're talking about like Smoky Mountain territories and stuff when you would have the heels get the crowd so worked up that people are getting shot at, people are getting shit thrown at them. Like Jim Cornette is getting escorted to the back, swinging his fucking racket like a helicopter to get the people away from him. That's the kind of shit we're talking about when we're talking best heel stuff. And I once wrestled in the Dominican Republic, and they like the fans stormed the ring, and then they chased us all into the locker room. We're like barricading the door. They're trying to break the door down. They're like literally, I have a picture of a fan hanging off the grates of the window, trying to break into the locker room. And we're all in there. The promoters just like holding the door back. We're like, well, fuck, we can't even get out of here. We're just stuck in this like closet. I don't even know, you know? So I was like, yeah, this is the greatest heel moment ever because we got people so worked up. They were ready to kill us. Normal people would be upset about that. They're like, hey, people are trying to kill us. When you're a heel in wrestling, you're like, fuck yeah, it's a good day in the office.
Absolutely. It's like you pat yourself on the back, like we did our job today. that's that's awesome. That sounds like yes, quite the heel moment and way above heat. I think it got a little dangerous there. But thank you so much, Masha, for joining us on True Heels BTR Between the Ropes. Please tell the people watching where they can find you on social media and of course your huge match for Mission Pro Wrestling, which is granted.
Guys, Mission Pro Wrestling, wishes granted, tomorrow, 7 o'clock Texas time. I don't know what time, I'm very confused on my time zones. But if you're not here in Texas to see it live, we have it streaming on Title Match Network. I believe you get like the first 10 days free or something like that if you sign up. Y'all, we're having a cage match tomorrow. It's going to be Thunder Rosa versus Allison Kay. We're having the first triple threat match. Me versus Black Widow versus Promise Braxton. This is a show you do not want to miss. Check it out. Mission Pro Wrestling on Title Match Network if you're not in Texas. In regards to myself, you can find me at Twitter and Instagram at Masha Slamovich. I've got new shirts out on prowrestlingtees.com/Masha Slamovich. And you got to join my Patreon because this is where all the fun stuff is. I'm posting all of my adventures in San Antonio. I'm posting pictures of animals. I got photo shoots. We got discounts on merch. We got Marvelous merch from Japan. We've got everything on Patreon. Come join me. Come join my adventures. Let's have a good time and get to know each other.
Thank you so much. Yes, definitely go out of your way to support Matcha. She was so great, gracious, and giving us our time on True Hill Heat. So we want to show her support and root for her, of course, for Mission Pro Wrestling, which is granted on Saturday, February 6th. If you can't be in the Texas area, like she said, Title Match Network. Order it on there because I know I will here in New York. So I hope you will as well. Like this.
Before we go,
Yeah.
sorry, I gotta say, since we're talking about Mission Pro Wrestling, and we mentioned all the wonderful sponsors that have sponsored this show, I gotta shout out my sponsor, Gorilla Press, who got me all the way to Mission Pro, got me into this lovely hotel, took care of everything, and is sponsoring the match, the triple threat match, myself versus Promise Braxton and Black Widow. Go check out Gorilla Press on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube because they have a YouTube channel. So go and subscribe to that as well.
Show support to the other sponsors, to Mission Pro Wrestling, Gorilla Press, who helped out Masha for sure. We want to show them support as well. Give this video a thumbs up. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you thought about the interview, what you think about Masha Slamovich, and what you think about Mission Pro Wrestling. And of course, there is the bell. You can press all for all notifications for all the great content right here on Tru Heel Heat. So, this has been Tru Heels BTR with Masha Slamovich. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. We are signing off until next time.